everybody. My name is Aiden, and today I'm going to go over kind of an outline of classes in Java. So first, you need to understand what classes even do, like what their purpose is. My first programming language I learned was JavaScript, which is like a very simplified kind of alternative to Java, and doesn't use classes at all. So it was a really new concept to me. The whole classes thing. So Java is what's considered an object-oriented programming language, and what that means is that all of your programming is done using objects. And okay, so what are objects? Objects are just like things that encode information, and then you can use those things to take actions somehow. And objects are created using classes. And classes contain three different things: fields, or what's called private instance variables, a constructor, which is how you construct your object, and then a method, which is how you do things using your object. And I'll get to each of those. So, fields. So, the thing is with fields is that they are just like whatever information you want in your object, like whatever thing that makes your object unique is called a field. So if you have, I don't know, let's say a shape class, what you would have is you would have maybe an instance variable that's like area. It would be like every instance variable or field, they're the same thing. Um, every one of them is private, and they can't be accessed directly. They're accessed using methods, which I'll get to. But you would have, for a shape class, as just a random example, you would have maybe a private double called area, and that would be the total area of your shape. And then you would have a private string called shape name, and it would tell you the name of the shape, like a trapezoid or a circle or something. And you could have maybe a couple other different private instance variables that would kind of tell you more information about the object that you would make when you assemble it directly. So, yeah. So, a constructor. This is how you actually assemble an object. This is how you call a class. So, constructors are always public, and they always have the same name as the class. They never return anything, and what they do is usually whatever private instance variables or fields that a class has, they're initialized, or like they're set to values in the constructor. So usually you'll call a constructor with some parameters, and then the private instance variables of that object are set to equal whatever your parameters are. And that's how you create unique objects every time you use a constructor of a class. Methods. This is how you actually do anything with your objects, basically. So methods, there's two general types of methods. They're called getters and setters. There's more like legitimate names of those, but they're typically called getters and setters. Those are the basic methods. So a getter method, as it's called, is a way of accessing the values stored in the private instance variables or fields of your object, because the fields are private. And most methods, there's a few exceptions, but most methods generally are public. So a getter method would be public, and it's a way a getter method would just return the value of your private instance variable. A setter method, on the other hand, would change the value of your private instance variable. It would set the value to some parameter that you give the setter method. Methods, they have a specific format for the title. They have if statements, for loops, while loops, whatever you want to do whatever you need it to do. But it can be public or private, usually public. It has a return type. If there's nothing returned, this is void. But otherwise, for this example, it's int. It has method name, and then it'll have some parameters. And you can see another example down here. So I hope that helped you understand classes.